A different language for woman and man. Decode the language and you'll understand. Nah, it'll help you out. Rest assured, women have no doubt. Pillow talk, dinner talk. Give you the info to walk the walk. Now, sometimes it's a foreign language. Now know what's up. Don't mistake it. This'll help you every situation. Empower yourself. It's liberating, yeah. Communication, don't need no speculation. Just get that clarification, then reconciliation. Man translation, yeah. Man translation, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back. We are back at Man Translation. I'm looking real raw. I ain't got on nothing but some lipstick. But welcome back. And we tonight are going to be talking about parent and teacher relationships. Man Translation, this is a show where we talk about all aspects of relationships because, misunderstandings happen all the time. Miscommunication happens all the time. So we come here, we talk about like every aspect of relationships. And I know that, people, most of the shows talk about the cheating man and how to find a husband, but there are more aspects of your life than that. And so we are a mother and son dynamic duo, and we want to let the culture know that mothers and sons can have healthy, non-toxic, codependent relationships. So welcome, join us, subscribe, share, and like, because tonight we're going to kind of talk about something that we don't really hear people talking about. I don't really hear people talking about, having a relationship with their child's teacher. But I know that
not the inappropriate one either. Not that one.
We're going to talk about that too. We're going to get to that too. But I'm Sky C. I'm the CEO and producer, and this is Dante V, a relationship and communication strategist. So, mama, this is son. So when you guys were growing up, I made sure that your teachers at least knew who I was. I had to been on the parent teacher committee, which you can join. It would be a good idea for you to join. But I made sure that they knew who I was. And I mean, I didn't really have a lot of trouble out of my, my children when they were school age or whatever. But I kind of like did things that were probably proactive. So I would just kind of pop up every now and then.
Hello, that pop up is needed because you never know where they're gonna be.
And I would always say that, never know where mama going to be. But, I had a job that I could do that, because sometimes I would go out in the field with my supervisor and I drove the company car. At the time I didn't have my own car. So I drove the company car. So that was even better because, they was thinking, oh, mama ain't got no car. She can't get up here. Yes, mama did can. And yes, mama do. And I remember one time my oldest daughter, I popped up at her school. Well, actually her teacher was like, your daughter is, she acting up. She was kind of like being unruly because she was wild. And I remember, I will never forget this day. I remember popping up to the school. This girl was standing on top of the desk. They had a substitute teacher that day. The substitute teacher was just at the desk like nothing wasn't going on. These children were running around the classroom like straight. You thought you stepped into a zoo. And my daughter was standing on top of the desk. She could have fell and hurt herself or anything. The teacher was just sitting at the desk, reading a little paper, acting like she was home watching Young and the Restless or something. So I walked over to her. I said, like, do you see these children ahead running around like they ain't got no home training? I snatched my daughter off of that desk and marched her down to the principal's office and told the principal, under no uncertain terms, the substitute teachers that don't have no care for the children whatsoever. Like, at least you can make them sit down. At least you can tell them, to sit down. But what I found over the years is that teachers are really scared to say anything because the parents want to come up there and fight the teacher? Why do you want to fight your child's teacher? Have you lost your mind?
Because some parents, some, not all, they can't necessarily take that sort of criticism to be like, hey, I've been with your child for all of about a year, whereas though you, the parent, have been with them all their lives, and it's like your child is A, B, C, D, and it's like, well, they're not way, they're not that way with me, and it's like, of course, they're not. But over
Right.
here, when you're not looking, when they're around, so it's like it's almost like taking that. Some people know how to take constructive criticism or any sort of criticism for that matter.
Well, I never looked at it that way. My thing was, children, they spend pretty much more time in school than they do at home. And so I need to create some type of communication between myself and, my child, because, as a parent, you're going to know the strengths and the weaknesses of your child. But there's some
Mhm.
things about the aspect of your child's personality that you're not going to witness. Like
You
you
know,
just said, you're not going to witness. You don't really see the totality of your child's personality. And as they get older, you kind of see less and less of it. So the child that you see at home and how your child act when you're not around, you're going to find out that that's two totally different people. Who is this
uh-huh.
child cussing like a sailor? Don't say no cuss words around you. Get around their friends, be cutting and smoking. And when you start smoking, what you
Now, of
doing?
course, we're not. Now, of course, we're not talking about all children because there's
No, we're
always
not.
the exception to the
We're
rule.
just saying that we have multiple aspects to our personality, and other people, your children do
Absolutely,
as well. That's the point.
absolutely.
So fostering, communication with your child's teacher, to me, is very important because your child spends so much time there. And also, if your
Uh-huh.
child is struggling with something, a lot of times your child may not come and tell you that they're having a hard time. You see the report card, you be like, well, well, I didn't know you was having trouble in this particular subject matter, because they won't say
Uh-huh.
anything, because they know that we have an expectation and we expect for them to do well. And when they fall short, they're not necessarily going to tell you. And so the report card is a way of and I,
Gauging that.
be honest, because we come here, we talk about our own experiences and give you our perspectives. I've had run-ins with teachers, but I don't do it in a really belligerent way. My daughter, for some reason, she struggled with math, and when I contacted her teacher, because as time went on, now you can kind of contact them via email and talk to them, FaceTime and everything. And so, when I was asking him some questions and stuff, it was like, do you have a strong command of the subject matter yourself?
Huh.
Because my thing is that if you know something well, you should be able to teach it and break it down for anybody to be able to understand. And so, he was like putting all the onus on her. And so I said to him, well, maybe you're not doing a very good job of explaining the subject matter. If my daughter is complaining and all these other students are complaining that you're not doing a very good job, and come to find out, he really wasn't. So if you're not doing a good job of explaining to the child this subject matter that she's having, trouble with, you're not gonna fail my child.
Yeah, teachers fail to teach. That's the thing too.
Like, you're not doing that. We're not doing that today. Okay, so I don't know whether we need to switch her to another class, to another teacher. But what you're not gonna do is you're not gonna fail my child because she's struggling in an area. Because you failed to explain. And I mean, I had that issue myself in school. I struggled with math. Like, I struggled for a very long time, from geometry, algebra, and I mean, I had this one teacher. What was her name? I could see her face so clear. She was a short white lady. My God, did I make that woman earn her paycheck? Lord have mercy. I would stay after school. I would come in early before school. I would go to her at lunchtime, and I just still could not get geometry to save my life. And I failed it. I just kept failing math. I think I eventually made it to, I think it's algebra 1, then geometry, then algebra 2. I got stuck at geometry. I got stuck at geometry. I was like, I don't understand. Some people can't really explain things to you in a way that you can understand. That doesn't mean that your
Right.
child is a failure. It just means that they haven't found anybody. Now, on the
It's a
college
different
level,
level. It's a different level of communication that needs to be reached to them. Whereas those
yeah,
teachers, unfortunately, it's just a one level, one way, and try and get through his curriculum because they got their own set of issues they got to deal with. And unfortunately, by them doing that, somebody's child's going to fall short.
what I found over the years, by me struggling in math, what I found was that teachers will teach to the smartest person in the room. They really teach to the people that get it. The people that don't get it just get left behind. Either you have to go to a tutor, and I have been tutored, and again, it's a comprehension, situation. And so when I entered college, it was still an issue. My major is finance, and finance, you go, all you have to learn, believe it or not, you have to learn calculus, statistics. Like, you have to take the math all the way up, trigonometry. You have to go all the way up, in finance. And it's interesting because I had to change my major from making finance my minor to business being my major. That's what made me switch majors, because I initially went to college for finance to be my major. But because I was struggling so hard with math, I had to switch it from business, and then finance becoming my minor. And I just remember my GPA was suffering because I just kept failing, this algebra, I think, too. Because, when you go to college, you have the tests to see where you fall in math. And then if your scores is not high enough, you kind of got to start from a high school level. I'm being totally honest, y'all. And
I've been there.
I was so frustrated. Like, I was so frustrated. And I remember I was on a plane and I met this guy, and I was so frustrated that I was talking about it to the person that was sitting next to me on the plane. And he said, "You know what? You just need to find somebody that can explain it to you, and the light bulb is going to go off, and you're going to get it." I was like, "Well, where is that person at? Because my GPA is suffering. Like, my GPA was dropping from an A slowly to a B. And then eventually it's going to go down to a C, and I just did not want that." So I remember going to my advisor, and I was like, "Yo, I have failed this class like 2 semesters. I cannot fail this class again because my GPA is," and you think one failure won't make your GPA go down. Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
It's like you do all that hard work, you fail one thing, get a 0. It's like you completely out of the range that you was in.
Because it's based on averages.
Man.
And then that failing grade also stays on your transcript too. So he was like, "Why didn't you come to me?" He was like, "Why didn't you come to me sooner? I could tell you just the teacher to take, the professor that you need to take, and you're gonna pass the class." I'm like, "You sure?" He was right.
Where was that before, sir?
No, I didn't go to my advisor. I just kept taking different professors. I just kept taking different professors. And then he was like, and then he said, take this man right here, and you're gonna pass. And he was right, because the professor I developed a relationship with my professor. And I said, I gotta get this. Like, I can't keep failing. I have to get it. And what my problem was, he found out what my problem was and everything. So he told me when I sat down with him, I had to turn my work in. He said, your problem is you're overthinking it.
Um,
See, when you establish a relationship with your child's teacher, you're going to find out how to better help your child if they're struggling in an area. And you're going to figure out whether you need to take that child out of that class and maybe your child need a different teacher.
yep, that's the thing too.
Because, we talk about how men think differently. It's the same thing for school. If you have a boy and he has a female teacher, maybe she's not explaining it in a way that he can comprehend, because communication is communication. Maybe he needs a male teacher, because we have more women teachers than we have male teachers.
That was the thing. My son, every class he had, like every male class he had, passed, no issue. A woman teacher struggled, had issues, had problems, and it was like, what is it? And then I was just looking at everything overall. It was like he needs a male teacher. Of course, I'll talk with the principal. It's a shortage in male teachers and things like that. And it's like, like what plan can we do to get him to comprehend and or understand, like what is actually missing? Set in a few classes, adjusted a few things, he was fine.
I'm telling you, it's so important, because every person is not a teacher. Because what does a teacher do? A teacher explains things in a way that removes blockages. You have blockages and you don't realize you do. And a lot of people are intimidated by math. So a lot of people have math blockages and they don't realize it. My problem was, I didn't just have problem with algebra, I had problem with word problems too. And when he said, you're overthinking it, I started thinking about them word problems. I be reading too much information into the situation, because you have to take the word problem and turn it into an algebra problem.
I just try to figure out why Johnny got all them damn apples. He don't need that many apples. He just need one. Johnny need to sit somewhere.
It don't matter. It's really interesting. I can't even pronounce the teacher's name because he had a really long last name. And he said to me, you're overthinking it. You're reading too much into it, because I was trying to figure it out and it wasn't making any sense. So he was like, stop trying to figure. I will never forget this. And the light bulb went off, just like that man said on the plane. He said, stop trying to figure it out and just memorize the formulas. Just memorize the formulas. Memorize the formulas, plug the numbers in, and you'll get the answer every single time. My God, did that change my life? Oh my God. And not only that, it's a principle that I even use in business. I use that same principle in business. And it's so true. I was trying to figure it out when all you got to do is just learn the formula, plug the numbers in, follow the steps. Because there's an order of operations. You have to follow the order of operations. And once you learn the formulas, once you learn the order of operation, it's a breeze. See, everybody is not a teacher. I just don't believe everybody's a teacher, because you have to teach, 30, 40, 50 people in a way, because they all comprehend differently. They all have different experiences. They don't all comprehend the same. They don't assimilate information the same. And you have to cut through all of that. So that's why your teaching has to be on a simplistic level. You have to take a complicated thing and break it down to a simple thing so that anybody can understand. That's how you know when a person has a good grasp of the subject matter. That's how you know they're a subject matter expert. If you can't break it down, it's the same thing with my electrical teacher. My electrical professor, He gonna go get his books from where he went to college. I was like, no, sir, we're not doing that. And so I had to email the person that was over top of the electrical department and said, listen, when you bring a book in this school, it has to be approved. You can't just go send off your books from 1910 because you got all the answers in there. No, 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 no. He had all these credentials and all of this stuff, but you can't even explain. You see what I'm saying? Electricity and learning electricity is a lot of math too, and it's a lot of formulas. It's a lot of
A
formulas.
lot.
Yeah, it's a lot
A
of formulas.
lot. Yeah, I
Listen,
think when I went to the electrical school, I think we started out maybe about 30 people in the class. By the time graduation hit, we were down to like 10.
yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You get just a lot of formulas. You learn the formulas, plug the information in, you get the answer. And he come trying to bring his book because he can't explain it to us in a way that we can understand. And I was the only woman in the class. Not only the only woman, I was the only black woman in the class. And I emailed the department, and they said, no, sir. Only books we use are the one that we approved. So he had to
Uh-huh.
go back to the book to the thing. I should have got an A in his class, but I had an 80 average of 89. But I had this one question that could have kind of went either way, and he didn't give me the point for it. So I got an 89 in that class. So I got a B instead of an A. But it's an electrical class that I had never taken before. But that same principle from algebra, it applies. If you learn the formulas, you plug the numbers in, you get the answer every single time. And it literally changed my life. I'm like, where was you at when I was in high school?
Huh. Huh.
So, your child, it can be struggling with the same thing. Boys, they don't normally like English. They don't normally like English. They don't normally like, writing. They don't normally like learning about dangling participles and, subject verb agreement. They ain't got time for none of that. So it's very important to all have the lines of communication between you and your child and your teacher. They spend so much time with your teacher, and I think that it will also combat some of that inappropriate relationship. Talk about it, Dante.
Well, no, because at that point, once you establish that relationship between parent and teacher, and actually able to have those conversations with you, I think when that teacher is feeling a little frisky, they ain't gonna look your way at all. That's what the dad might, mama might, but you're not gonna be looking at that child. No,
Yeah.
that's just I don't even know how. You know what? I'm gonna say, how lonely do you have to be to mess with a child? And a child that's struggling at that matter. I mean, as the adult, you gotta set the example. You gotta be the one like, no. Not only no, I need you to get out of my class, transfer them or whatever, do whatever's needed, but mm-mm.
Well, unfortunately, pedophiles they do hide in schools. That's one of the places they target. They target any place there are children, which is another reason why you need to foster. You need to know who these people. You need to know who these people are. You know what I mean? Because some of them don't have boundaries. Some of them do. Cross the line. That's why they need to know who you are. You need to know who they are. I I had some amazing teachers and stuff growing up. And back then, you could go to your teacher's house. I remember going to Miss Brinkley's house. I remember we went to her house on a school trip. She cooked out for us. Yeah, it's like you could go to your teacher's house back in the day and didn't have to worry about your teacher being a pervert. But
Nope.
these days, you know, it's not. Not only that, I feel like you need to collaborate with the learning experience, of your child. I've always believed that school is a secondary teacher. Mother and home is your first teacher. Your
Absolutely.
mother first teacher. I do not depend on the schools to teach my child everything. People are
Mm.
they're in such an uproar because they're not teaching Black history in school. Why would they? Why would
Teach them home.
you got to teach them? Why would your oppressors, the oppressors of your ancestors, they done stole land, they done beat you, they done did all kind of evil. Why would they want anybody to know that? Why would they teach that? This is amazing, the things that people fight about. It's not.
And kids ask questions.
It's not the school's
Well,
job.
no, I'm just saying they start teaching that how it's actually supposed to be taught. Kids ask, especially when they're going through that why phase. Why your granddaddy did that to my granddaddy? What was going on over there? Why you beat him like that? It's going to be some questions that you don't have answers for.
I just think that the parents teachers too much responsibility. It's not. It's to me. It's a reinforcement. By the time you guys went to school, you were all, the teachers was like, they don't need to start off at kindergarten or first grade. Y'all could have skipped, but I didn't want you to skip because of your socialization skills, because school is also about socialization. Look at Dante. Dante's like, no, mama.
I don't know people like that.
Every last one of y'all could have skipped at least kindergarten.
Because I ain't never have no friends from school I wanted to bring home. We were just the kids on the block. I must have done like that.
Because y'all knew your numbers, colors, alphabet. But I didn't just teach you circle, triangle, square. You knew octagon, hexagon, shape, trapezoid, all these shapes. So it was like by the time you started school, you were ahead. Just like right now. My granddaughter is just turned 2 years old and she can count to 20. She can count to 20 already. She know her ABCs already.
Yes, she do.
She sings. She catches on the words really quick. You know, she hears a song once or twice. She got the words. You know.
Yeah, because I don't know what that thing in the car was playing, but she knew it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She loved that little song. None of us know what it is, but she know. And she loves her favorite song is Winkle Winkle Little Star. Not Twinkle Twinkle, but Winkle Winkle. Yeah. So, I can't even imagine anybody spending that kind of time with my child and they don't know who I am. And I've had teachers who was just like, you do have some teachers that's really like, you have to kind of professionally put them in their place. I remember one teacher, a nice teacher, she was like, your daughter, she's not being still, and she won't sit still in her chair and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, and she kept calling me. And let me say this. Y'all think that sometimes your teachers, because your child is so wonderful and adorable to you, teachers don't always like children.
No, they don't.
Sometimes they might not like your child. And when you establish a relationship with them, you'll know that. I go up to the school and I walk in the classroom and I tell her, I said, first of all, your classroom is too busy. You got way too many colors. You got red and green and orange and yellow. Busy stuff going over here on the wall and some stuff over here on the wall. You got all this stuff going on in here. You need to create an environment that is conducive to the learning and what it is that you're trying to teach. It's too busy in here. I'll be bouncing off the walls if I was in here too. Because colors, people don't realize colors have an effect on you. That's the reason why in branding, you see McDonald's with the yellow arches and red has an effect. Colors have an effect on your mental psyche. Of course, blue and green are calming colors. If you have a child that's hyper, you can't put these excitable colors and all this stuff on the wall, because while they're sitting there trying to learn and you got fish and stuff floating all around the room and stuff hanging, that stuff is a distraction to them. You need to take some of this stuff out this classroom. That's what you need to do. Just do that. And you know what? She did. And it made a difference. It really did, because girl, it's too busy in here. It's too busy. Okay. Same thing with your home. The way you decorate your home, the colors and stuff that you use, You know, normally if you want a relaxed environment, you have muted colors, beiges, and neutral colors and things of this nature. All of these things are important. And so it was a collaborative effort. She didn't get offended or whatever. And I had to talk, you know, with my daughter. Sometimes you have to practice at home if you have a child that's hyper. You know, practice with them sitting still for a while because they will label your child. Next thing you
Yes, they
know,
will.
they on
You
Ritalin.
Just about to say that.
You don't want that because those records follow you for the rest of your life. And you know, you can tell whether or not your child is making progress. School can be stressful.
Hmm. That's why we get in high school. You just cut class. You straight in
School
school
can
class.
be stressful. They have a I don't know whether you've seen it, but they have like a celebrity college edition
I
where
think
they
I
have
seen that. Was that Ray J on there? And
Ray J flunked out the first one. This is the second season. He flunked out the first one. I think on this one they have like Jocelyn with her no talking stuff. Ray J, Amber Rose is on there. Delish, Tiana Taylor's husband is on there. And right now, the first season they did it here in Texas, and now they're in Alabama. And you know, I think people don't realize is that college is not for everyone because it's
no, it's
considered
not.
it's a discipline. It's a discipline. And these celebrities, a lot of them, they done skipped right on past anything that creates a discipline. You know, and when you're raising your children, you have to incorporate discipline. When you guys were growing up, you guys had structured play and you had structured education. So you had playtime, but you had free time, but you had structured play. So, and then for Christmas, I would buy you educational toys. I wouldn't just buy you just random stuff just to play with. I will buy you educational things. So you have to teach your children discipline, how to sit still, you know, not just sit in front of the television. No. The best thing to get them to learn discipline is to get them to be still and read a book. Because in order to read, you have to focus. That's why a lot of people
Uh-huh.
don't read. They can't focus their mind. Um, when I started college, I had to go online, and it wasn't popular. See, when I started my online classes, nobody wasn't really going online. I was going online with the people in the military. So the school that I ended up going to, the whole school was on online. I would tell all my friends about it. University of Maryland, University College. And I was going to school with people in Afghanistan. They was all over the world. And it wasn't a popular thing at all when I started, you know, going to school. And people will always be like, how do you do online classes? Like, how
Huh.
do you do that? And I'm like, for me, it's convenient because it allows me to work, and then it allows me to organize my time to get my schoolwork done. I can't go sit in a classroom. I can't go to work and then go sit in the classroom. I just can't do that. I can't do that.
Nope.
Plus, I'm like more of a self-taught type of person. So even though I'm sitting in an online class, it really gives me the ability to get instruction from my teacher, kind of like laying a framework, but then I really just kind of teach myself. And that works for me. And nobody could understand how I was doing online classes. Now online classes they're everywhere. You know, they're everywhere. But in 2007, I think I started, and then that's another thing. I worked full time, and I had a full time course. So I was going to school full time and working full time. And so they was like, how do you do that? And I was like, for me, it's just easy. You know, it's a discipline. And a lot of times people don't have that discipline. And a lot of times it's not
Nope.
that your child is slow, they just don't have the discipline. And you have to teach them how to have the discipline. And it's not easy sometimes. When you're trying to teach your child, or your younger, your teenager, especially in this world when you got the metaverse, you got the cell phone. We're gonna talk about that next week. About these. So did you hear about the 2 girls that killed their parents because she took their phone?
Vaguely, I thought it was one child, 11 years old.
14, stabbed their parents, killed their parents.
It takes a lot to stab somebody repeatedly. I'm tired thinking about it.
I'm telling you, the parents now are dealing with challenges that I didn't have, raising children. But that cell phone is serious. I don't think people realize what that thing is really doing to everybody's brain.
Yeah, no, we can definitely have a conversation on that. I think I just posted a video. It was a joke, but it was also serious at the same time, stating stuff like that.
The video was going around where the girl and the teacher got into a fight because she took her phone.
Right, and
she was losing.
Yeah, that girl got whooped and was like one talking about the video. She took the phone because you were being disruptive. Okay, I get it. Which was a thing. If you have a phone, you're not supposed to have it. You all know you're not supposed to have it. Okay, all right, fine. Hide it, tuck it, do whatever you need to do. Get it back at the end of the day, or they'll call the parents. Parents gotta come get it. Whatever the case may be. But then you swung on this lady. Like you swung on a grown woman. Not saying that she that the teacher was right or wrong, but then at that point, a fight now ensues. And now the child is looking at, oh, y'all going to record. Y'all not going to help me. What?
The phones are addictive. They are addictive. I do not think people understand. They were designed to be that way. They are. Anytime somebody take your phone and you go off, that means you are addicted. And then the parents are addicted to their phones. The society is breaking down because we have no social interaction. We don't even have a cordial, hey, good morning, because everybody is in their phone. Even I thought it was against the law to talk on your phone and drive. People be talking on the phone and driving. You just be like, child.
So only gets the law to get caught.
We definitely going to do a show about those cell phones and the relationship, because it is definitely breaking down relationships. People don't communicate. It's bad enough that nobody sits at the dinner table together as a family anymore. And if they do sit together as a family, everybody is on the phone.
Or watching TV.
Or watching TV. So there's really like no interaction. So I really wanted us to really, talk about this because it is very important that we have foster and establish relationships, with our children's teacher all the way just from the beginning all the way through, because these habits are going to help them, when they get out, into the world. I was privileged to have like really smart children, even though they did have, shut up, Dante, because some of your grades could have been better. You graduated, but I got
lazy.
I still got your report cards. Did you know that?
I got lazy.
Have some of y'all report cards?
Who?
Your report cards.
What about
it? I still have them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Listen, high school, I got lazy. Whatever. They wasn't talking about nothing. There wasn't nobody doing that. They were playing spades. Like to this day, I don't know how to play spades, but I literally whatever. I'd go to class to leave. What y'all doing? Let me know when it's a test. Let's just be back.
One of the things too, I think that I found when you have relationships with your child's teacher is, your child's emotional. Sometimes your child will talk to a teacher when they won't talk to a parent.
Mhm.
And so your child's emotional well-being, because as parents, we can't catch everything.
No,
We
and it's
miss
always that. It's
some
always that
things.
one teacher. It's that one teacher that you never forget because they were there. No matter what grade it was, they were there. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll have a favorite teacher. You'll talk to that teacher when you won't talk to your parent. And then if you have a relationship with that teacher, she may not tell you what the child told you, but they could tell you your child is having some trouble in this particular area.
Hmm.
If your child
Yeah,
is coming,
you might want to talk to
yeah, your child is coming to school being bullied. I know people that in our school came to school and literally got raped. It was a section in our school, Strawberry Mansion turned out to be one of the worst schools in Philadelphia. It was
them. Oh
pretty
Lord.
bad when we were going, but it was this one section that you couldn't even go in. It was a stairwell that if you went down that stairwell, the possibilities of you being raped were very high.
Goddamn East Side High.
And so, this is stuff, these are things that you need to be aware of. These are things that you really need to know. People go to school and they are literally bullied. And when you're bullied in school, like what can the teacher really do to another kid that's bothering you except tell them to stop bothering you? So I remember
Inter-
when
some
I
sort of
first
intervention.
I remember when I first came here to Texas, and um my daughter, she was catching a bus, but when she got off the bus, because Houston is country, they swear they city, but you have these long stretches of street that don't have any lights on it. So when she got off the bus, she had to walk at least about a good 3 or 4 blocks, because all the time I couldn't take her to school, so she had to catch the bus sometime. So I gave her some pepper spray, but you couldn't tell that it was pepper spray because it was in a bedazzled case. Because they would check, they had checkpoints when they would go in. And one day I get a call from school, and she didn't spray it, but the little boy that saw the pepper spray wanted to know what it was. And I told her, don't tell anybody what it is, because you may need it as you're walking up and down that strip, because there's no lights there. And I talked to the principal and all of that. It's like a fight going on between the city. Who's going to pay to put lights on the street? The city saying, the school is saying the city should do it, and the city saying the school should do it. I'm like, why don't let it just be a collaborative effort? Just do a fundraiser, raise the money, and put the lights up. Like, it's not that deep.
Mhm.
Why did the little boy sprayed the pepper spray, and the whole class had to be cleared out because she brought pepper spray to school. Now we had a long talk about this here pepper spray and how nobody's supposed to know that you had this pepper spray. You're supposed to hide this pepper spray, and you ain't supposed to tell nobody about this pepper spray. Don't you know they could have kicked her out of the school? I could have been sued and everything. The parents were all upset, but nobody pressed charges, because they could have pressed charges to everything, child. They had the whole class had to go to the nurse's office. It was a whole big thing. But because they knew me and I had built a relationship with the school, with the principals, the lady in the lunchroom, or whatever, they knew that it wasn't something that was intentional. I'm concerned about my child walking in the dark. Like, what y'all want, like what y'all gonna do?
That's right.
So, it's really important, the benefits of it. Don't just send your child to school to basically strangers. And now we can't even tell our children, listen to your teacher, because your teacher could be a pedophile. And it didn't matter what it was. If my children were going on a trip, I wanted to know who was driving the bus. I'm that parent. Yeah, that's me. I want to know who's driving the bus. What's the bus driver's name? If I can get where the bus driver lives, I'm gonna get all the information I can about this bus driver. Because how many children have been left on the bus,
Oh, many.
put off in the middle of nowhere? Have a cell phone. We need to know what the cell phone number is so that we can get in contact with me at all times. Okay, so you will be leaving my child nowhere. Okay. Any person that comes in any contact with my child in any kind of way, I'm going to know who they are. And they're going to know who I am. Hi, I am Dante's mama. Mm-hmm.
Which is how it should be, for real.
Yeah. Like I don't play when it comes to my children. And I know nobody don't play when it comes to their children. But sometimes you got to go the extra mile when it comes to these teachers and these schools and stuff like that. And not only that, you create a network. You create a supportive network for your child. And then it's like, I know my oldest son, when I left, he was in the 6th grade, and I left Maryland and I moved back home to Philly. And they were like, this boy, he's bright, he's really bright. And he was just a great speaker. And they would just sign him up for stuff, and I remember they signed him up for some type of writing something, and he wrote this speech about Martin Luther King Day or something, and he ended up being flown to wherever Coretta and Martin live, and he got
It was Little Rock. I remember that.
Yeah, he got a chance to meet Coretta Scott King, all because I had a relationship with those teachers, and they kind of just like, hey, let's put him in this, let's do that. This will be a good experience for him, and this and that. If they have not had a conversation with you, they're not gonna feel comfortable enough to refer your child to these type of situations. That was a great experience for him to have. At 12 years old, he was in the 6th grade, I believe, at the time, the 5th or 6th grade or something like that. Pop up to your child's school every now and then, just out of nowhere. Pop up. And it's like, it don't even take that many times to pop up. You ain't got to pop up, I remember, once or twice.
There you go. It'll definitely set in, especially when they have to no good. My mom could be anywhere.
Yeah, and it's like they think twice. It used to be so funny when I used to be stuck, because when you come up to the school, when you pop up, the teacher don't know either. And so, but the teacher comes out the classroom and they be in the hallway talking to you. All the little kids be looking like, whose parents is that? Who got in trouble?
It's your parents, or you just sitting there actually doing work now? Now, what's the square root of 32?
I was raised in a generation that wherever you got ugly, I got ugly with you. So you want to get ugly in school? I'll come up to the school and spank you in front of all your friends, in front of the whole classroom. Okay? So you think twice about acting up in school. I mean, I never had to do that, but it's good for your kids to know that you're the type of parent that will do that. I know my children thought I was crazy growing up, but I didn't really care that they thought I was crazy. Because if I need to come up to that school and yank you up, you will get yanked, okay? Because you are here to learn, not here to play. Because I hated that in school. I couldn't stand the class clown. Sit down somewhere. I'm trying to learn. Sit down. Sit down.
Everybody laughing.
So all those things to me are important. And today, I think they're even more important because there's so much stuff going on inside the school. It's so,
it's a disconnect with the parents, especially when it comes out to the parent-teacher conferences and nobody show up. Like, I think there was a report. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. I think it was in Michigan. Like 3,000 third graders failed. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's a big thing now. Not just the third graders. The reports are coming in from the pandemic. They're saying that the pandemic, like everything is down, reading, math, everything, because I'm telling you, when I went to college online in 2007, it was not popular, and people find it very difficult because you have to be disciplined. You have to discipline yourself, and now you rolling right out of bed and rolling into the kitchen on your laptop, and you in class. You're not paying attention. And so your parents probably still in the bed themselves. Like and so, oh my God, that's how third world countries are made. Now we got China, who emphasizes education. We got India, who emphasizes education, and they're passing Americans, in the IT fields and the programming, the coding, all of the technology, that's changing. American children are being left behind because they constantly on their phones and can't focus. I don't think people realize that your brain is being turned to oatmeal. You need to put that phone down for a couple of hours and, read a book, a physical book. See what's behind me? See my books? That's just a little bit of them. But, discipline yourself to read so that you can focus your mind. That's why a lot of people be talking about, telling people to write books. In order to write a book, you got to focus. You have to be still. Your mind has to be still. You have to focus on something. And people have 1,000 things going on in their mind, and they cannot, adult ADD, adult ADHD is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
And it has to
Yes, it is. I got 13 projects going on in here right now. Ain't none of them done.
If you catch it, if you catch it early, because you have that early intervention with the teacher, you may not even know your child is ADD or ADHD. Your child does not need medicine to calm down. Your child needs to be taught techniques that's going to follow them for, the duration of their life. And so I think that's all I have in my notes. I think the last thing I have is to have, foster a positive school experience. So when there's a strong relationship between you, your child, and the teacher, it contributes to a positive and enriching school experience, benefiting your child's overall well-being and academic achievement, because it's going to follow them. These habits that they create, whether they're good habits or bad habits, it's going to follow them to their jobs. It's going to follow them to other relationships. And I think that that's the reason why I try to come on and really talk about family relationships, because these are the building blocks. Your family relationships, your social skills that you learn at home. Y'all are complaining about your mama did this, your daddy ain't did this person wasn't here, your sibling did this, your sister did that, your aunt did that. You need to be learning from these relationships. It's all for you to learn. Coping skills, how to deal, when there's a breakdown in communication, because these things are going to help you down the line. They're going to help you down the line. They're going to help you in school. They're going to help you in your personal life. They're going to help you in your romantic relationships. We want to be successful in business relationships, but be a failure at home or a failure in school. Or
it starts at home.
Yeah, it starts at home. Instead of you growing up being bitter and resentful because you were placed on punishment or you were made to do something, because we have to instill discipline in you. Everything is not about corporate punishment. I didn't really spank my children a lot, but I put them on punishment. I disciplined them. Punishment and discipline and corporal punishment is three totally different things. When you got to the place that I had to physically take a belt and beat you, that means you really, really did something wrong. And I done told you 50 11 times, and now you being just straight rebellious. When we get to that point that we got to pull the strap out, that means that correction is needed. And so now you're an adult that don't want to be corrected. Now you're an adult that don't want to be disciplined. Now you're an adult that you're still in rebellion. How many people know adults that's still in rebellion? You're still rebelling because you don't want to do what your parents told you to do. Whose life gonna be affected? Yours. Yours.
Yep.
So close us out, Dante. That's all I got. You want to add something to it? That's all I got in my
No,
notes.
I'm with you. I believe that having those pop ups are definitely necessary. I mean, I'm not saying your child should fear you to the point where they're just scared. But also, with that being said, you got to keep people on their toes. If you're doing wrong, you're gonna get caught. There's always someone watching. And then, when my mom, dad would pop up at the school, it was for me, it was just constant reminder. Someone's always watching. Someone is always looking. You never know who's gonna go back and say, oh, well, we've seen him do this, 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 and this. Because I was actually doing it or not doing it. So I get that some people, you have those jobs as to where as though you just can't. But there's always somebody that is an aunt, a cousin. So hey, go up there and just don't just go and check on them kids. Just see what they doing. It don't need to be an everyday, all day thing. Every once in a while. Like that is for a child, that is enough. Especially if you got a child that's just being just outright
Yeah.
we gonna throw this one in the trash type. Just pop up. Also, having that open communication with the teacher is a must because some of these teachers now they feel as though they can't talk with the parents because if your child is acting like this, how are you going to act? But if you present yourself, hey, I'm such and such mom, such and such dad, if there's any issue, any problem, give me a call. That don't mean I'm coming up there to the school every time you call, but we can at least have a conversation. Because I think it's been maybe one or two times where it's like, teacher called, put him on the phone. And I got to go down to the office, get on the phone. I'm getting scolded on what? So that, again, keeping that open relationship with them, and also getting the knowledge that they have in order to teach your child. Because you, as a parent, your child. Them as a teacher, completely different story. Like you're going to be their parent until somebody die. These teachers are going to be in rotation for the rest of their life. They're not going to have the same teacher over and over again. So establish that relationship, get whatever knowledge that they have to give, and take it from there.
Because it truly does take a village. See you guys next
Yes, it
Sunday.
does.